Gary Keller. What's the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Gary Keller.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Next Level.
Good vibes only.
This is Jessica and Darren Salquist coming at you to talk about...
The one thing.
That's right. And your quote basically said it all.
That's
it's
it.
Like, hey,
that's the big question right
what's
there.
the one thing you can do?
Yeah.
And you'll break it down in some other ways.
This is a book that is called, actually, The One Thing, written by Gary Keller and J. Papasan. I think that's a cool last name, Papasan.
Isn't that a chair?
I don't know. Is that what it is?
I think it's Papasan.
Gary Keller, he's a founder and chairman of the famous realty company called Keller Williams.
Yeah.
It's one of the largest realty franchises in the world. And Jay Papasan is he's an executive that works there, and he's also does leadership, and he's also co-authored some other books. And so that is the big question here right now, is that the thing that this book really highlights, the number one thing that really stood out to me is the word focus. And we've had conversations around focus and really narrowing and having that focus and awareness of where are we placing our attention. And that attention sometimes can get scattered, right? When we think we have all these things that are going on and we're trying to get all these different things. And those are some of the things we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the domino effect. We're going to talk about multitasking, how multitasking is a myth. We're going to be sharing some ideas around time blocking, living your purpose, and then accountability, and then goal setting. So the first thing we're going to jump into is that key concept of that one thing. So what are your thoughts on the one thing, Jess?
Well, I know that the goal is to make things the most simplest as possible. And it doesn't have to be gigantic, and it does not have to be big. It's just about taking those steps that is simple, making the biggest impact. And I'm not going to jump ahead, but the domino effect piece is really helpful. But really focusing on the one thing is a great place to even create the habits to get you to your goal.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things that we're talking about is that by identifying that most critical task, right, that's where you're going to place your focus. And by being able to do that, that's where your energy is going to be best utilized. Because sometimes when we're scattered in our energy, we feel depleted because we're trying to do all these different things. And so narrowing it down, clarifying what that one most important thing is that's going to have the biggest benefit towards you for today, moving towards that, and then going through this other process. And that's where the domino effect comes in.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain the domino effect?
Well, what I like about the domino effect is, and we've seen good images, and you can probably YouTube the domino effect as where, a domino itself can knock down a domino that's 50% bigger than it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a powerful image to think about because we've talked about the compounding effect, how you're able to, one small task can help you with, achieving a bigger task, maximizing and optimizing. And so I really liked that a single domino can knock down something twice its size.
Yeah.
Very powerful. But it's about building the momentum and creating and stacking your habits and start tipping your ability and success and purpose to be for your bigger wins. I think we want just a big win right away, and I think we're most successful and we actually work more congruently towards our goal as if we're picking things that are going to make big impact but might be simple.
Yeah, and again, you're going to start small, start tiny. And this is where the example, and this is a great thing if you guys watch it on YouTube, where they use a smaller domino, like the size of your fingernail. But if you just think about a domino that's about 2 inches tall, if you go down 10 more dominoes, again, each domino is knocking over another domino. It's half its size. By the time you get to the 10th domino, it's about the size of Peyton Manning. And I don't know, like he's 6 foot something or another, right? So think about that 2 inches, going down 10 more dominoes, you get up to Peyton Manning, and then from Peyton Manning, you keep going down to where you're eventually knocking down something the size of the Eiffel Tower. And basically what this principle kind of reinforces is the idea that big results accumulate from small, focused actions. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest concept. Again, when we come back to that one word focus, if we're coming back into this question, again, what's that one thing? And so that one thing, it could be very small and very tiny. And what we want to do is build momentum. And so that is the first concept of this book.
Yeah.
The second concept of this book is coming and talking about time blocking.
Love that
What would
one.
you like to share about time blocking?
Well, time blocking.
And do you utilize time blocking within your busy schedule?
I do. Darren likes to bring up my meetings and my emails constantly because he's always like, "What are you doing?" And there is a piece of it though is that if you look at my calendar, you'll see color coding, you'll see time blocking. I can look at it. I mean, other people might get
Makes
anxious.
sense to you.
Yeah, other people might get very anxious. I've been told like that makes me anxious when they look at my schedule. I look at it and I see, okay, like I've created time here. I do have, I block out time for processing time. Every Wednesday, I don't want to tell my secrets, but
Tell your secret. What do you mean? This is where we're
I
at.
mean, like for staff, if they listen, but every Wednesday afternoon, the last 2 hours of the day are blocked. They're completely blocked for emergencies, processing, projects, those kind of things like that.
Those unforeseen things.
Those unforeseen things, and they happen. And my administrative assistant, she knows my color coding. She knows my blues mean, hey, if something urgent comes up, you can schedule. And she knows that all my other colors mean something else to me, but those are things that I'm not changing, but I'm open to, as needed. So you'll see definitely blocks of time. On the top of my calendar, I have the priorities of that day. Either I'll put them on my calendar as priorities of that day, and it'll show up at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., which obviously I'm not working at that time, but it just gives me an understanding of, okay, what's most important for me to get done that day. Or I will move into paper form sometimes so that I have it sitting right there, and that's my one thing that I need to get done that day. Like that has to get done today. And so that is very, very helpful for me. I would say the time blocking and the color coding and that's part of time blocking too. You can YouTube videos
and then your
on that too.
priorities.
My priorities.
That's another thing that's in the book that I didn't highlight, but in that book, in the one thing, it talks about having a to-do list and a success list. And it's the success list is what we want to really create, because on the to-do list, there's going to be hundreds of things that are on the to-do list, right? We all have all these things that we think we need to get done, when really it's coming back into that one thing and having that success checklist of what's the biggest priorities, what was really important today that I can do today that to be successful. The goal is not to have what they talk about in the book is have a wastebasket full of paper because you're so busy today and you got all these things checked off. That's how you get over it. That's how you get burnt out. That's how you get drained.
Yeah.
This is where at the end of the day, you just want to go check out and go watch TV, what we just talked about, and all and eat ice cream or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a success checklist, now you're going down this process of control, and controlling your day is what you just talked about of that time blocking.
And the other thing I'll just share that helps me with the time blocking is when you begin your day, right? I have time. I start earlier than most, so I have time to organize my thoughts and day, right? If there's something the day before I didn't get done, I have time to do it, right? So the morning and the end, just like your AM bookends and your PM bookends or your protocols, same thing when you get to work. You're looking at your day ahead, and you're looking at the end of the day, you're looking at what you didn't complete and your day the next day. Yeah. And it's the same thing, just like a PM bookend. Your morning starts the night before. Your next day starts at the end of your last day. And if you're going from day to day without knowing what's coming, that's probably what causes a lot of anxiety for people. So those are just a few things that help. Not perfect.
Yeah.
By no means.
And that's also at the end of your day saying shut down complete. You're reviewing your day. You know what's going on. You can see how you're going to start your day tomorrow. Yeah. So that way you're not thinking about it after you leave work, because you've already reviewed your success checklist and you said shut down complete, and now you can move into that love category that we've talked about in the past. And one of the things with the time blocking is where it really highlights this part in the book where it says that this principle really helps establish the priorities where your most significant goals, ensuring that they get the attention they deserve.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If you're just going down a list, check, you're not going to give sometimes all the attention that maybe that one task really deserves, because you're really just focusing on getting it done and checking it off and moving on to the next thing.
Well, so, and the people I work with are what deserves my attention the most.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Not these things, but people.
Yep. All right.
When we go into the next topic is the myth of multitasking. And this is where we think where we can really focus and do all these different things. Oh, I'm a great multitasker, when our brains don't really focus that way. And I would say an example would be a basketball player. If you're on the court and you're focused on your one person, and then all of a sudden the person you're guarding, then you turn to focus on somebody else, where the guy go or the girl go that you were just guarding, right? They're going to be gone.
Yeah.
If you're not focused on that one person, again, it's not that you're not scanning and having your eyes around, but if you lose your focus on that one person, that's how that person gets open and can score those points. And so think about it that way when we talk about multitasking, is that your brain, when you switch topics, when you go from one thing to the next, and if you don't have a break, your brain is still processing what you just accomplished or what you just finished. That's why when we talk about when you go to sleep at night, not really watching TV or scrolling on your phone, because all that data and all that information that your brain doesn't know that you're just, I'm just watching, it's not important. Your brain is gathering this information and it's saying, what do I do with it? How do I got to sift through what's important, what's not important. And so this is where, again, multitasking comes into play.
Not real.
Keeping your mind on focus on that one thing. And again, I'm going to bring it back to the title of the book, that one thing. And then give yourself a little bit of a moment to shift with a 5-minute break of decreasing your focus, because you've been focused so intensely on one subject. Give yourself 5 minutes before you move on to the next subject. And that's for what you talked about in our last podcast, clarity.
And solitude, because that made me just think of the fact that when I do that at work successfully, right, it brings me a sense of clarity and solitude, because I bring it back to that one thing that I need to get done that day. Because the list can go on. And if I start thinking about all the other things I need to do tomorrow, the next day after that, that's again where this anxiousness comes in. It's exhausting. The hustle culture itself is exhausting. There's no hack around that. Either your energy is depleted or it's not, So how do you conserve that energy so that you can be there 100% all day long? And that is a huge gift. And as you said it just made me realize that, wow, I really create a lot of less anxiety by doing some of these tools.
Yeah. And again, by focusing on that one thing, you're going to have deeper engagement in that one thing, which then is going to in turn create better results, right? If you're going around the room trying to make everybody happy, in the end, you probably made nobody happy. Yeah. But if you really make one deep connection with somebody, that's going to be something that's memorable.
Yeah.
Going on to the next thing is living with purpose. And this is where I always like to kind of talk about that. I hear a lot in the coaching is, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And a lot of times people feel like their purpose is this job, this role that they're playing. And that's where I would kind of argue the point of, really what I feel our purpose in this world is to be the best version of you. What is it that you and only you can bring to this world? And by doing that is really knowing who you are and getting in touch in that solitude of being that best version of you. This is your purpose. Your job or the role that you play, that's exactly what it is. It's a role. This is your mission. We have many missions. Many of us can look back. We've had many jobs. And those roles that you play is in that moment. They're learning opportunities. There's something you do. But living with purpose, what does that mean to you, Jess?
Well, I love the concept of we have this purpose, and my purpose isn't just one. It's not just like my only goal in life, right? So we're talking about one thing, but the purpose of my one thing is service to others, making human connection, sharing my love, like I'm practicing on how I can be a better loving person. And that is the only way I can do that is if I'm able to be present and I'm able to, not multitask. Multitasking doesn't allow me to be present. It doesn't allow me to be purposeful. It doesn't allow me to have intention. So when I think of that purpose and then all these mini, like you said, missions below that, they're there every single day. But if we don't know what our purpose, like that one thing in life that we know that we're meant to be here for, and you don't have to it doesn't have to be like, I'm going to be an owner of a business. I mean, that doesn't have to be it. It could be every single day you just have acts of love and acts of kindness and you help others. I mean, and you're doing that always. It's not a one action item thing. Yeah. It is part of who your identity is what your purpose is. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. And again, just tapping into yourself. What is that best version of you like? And then when you're focused on yourself, and this is where, it's selfish to be focused on yourself. Otherwise, if you're focusing your attention on everything else, how can you give the best version of yourself if you're just giving away to everybody? And that's where other people, like, I show up my love is helping other people and helping people do this and do that. That's sometimes an area that allows us not to actually focus on ourselves. That's what sometimes giving goes with, right? Is that we're giving of ourselves to these other people so we don't need to necessarily check in on ourselves. But I would argue that point is if you're not giving that, if you are working on the best version of yourself, how are you showing up to other individuals then?
And when you're working on the best version of yourself, you serve well.
That's right.
You serve well.
And that's where we talked about
Yeah.
that energy, work, and love. Cut that in another podcast. And the next thing we're going to just really show up is accountability. What is that big word, accountability?
I mean, you just said it's a big word.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you holding yourself or creating commitments to yourself and having intention and following through with them?
Mm-hmm. Doing what you said you would do. Right?
Yeah. And I think when we don't do that, we feel bad and we beat ourselves up. So the thing is being able not to just completely rely on, hey, I'm not going to just be a willpower machine. I don't have an endless battery of willpower.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I put tools, actions, habits, different things in place to help me be accountable and make it attainable so I can be successful?
Yeah. And this is where I'm going to come back to that purpose, is where we're accountable to other people, right? We don't typically, when we say our word, we give our word to other people, we typically show up more than likely, right? Because we don't want to break our word, because again, that's our identity. But what we do is we allow ourselves not to be accountable to ourselves. And I've done this a lot. I mean, things that I've been working on myself of, I'm going to stop this or stop that, and then, I want to really decrease my weight, or I'm going to do this. And we don't do that. We break our promise to ourselves, but yet we hold ourselves accountable to other people. So the real goal is that your purpose, working on that best version of yourself, is doing what you said you would do, holding yourself, I want to say, capable versus accountable, because we're all capable, and holding yourself capable to yourself and showing up with love and kindness to yourself, because that's another way I think accountability and capability shows up.
All day.
Last one we're going to really hit here is goal setting to the now.
To the now.
So goal setting to the now is that method of goal setting that connects long-term aspirations to the immediate actions. And so this is where if you kind of draw this line of where do you see yourself, right? Where is it that you want to go? And then knowing that, like, one of our goals is something that I've talked about with Jessica, is that in 5 years that I would love to live in Europe for 3 months out of the year. And so in order to be able to do that, what do we need to be able to do? We need to be, one, financially stable, and to be able to do that. Also have possibly a career like this podcast or with our coaching that we can do wherever we live. And so that would be an area that I'm working on right now. And this is what I'm doing with CoreFit, building a well-being program, a corporate well-being program to help generate revenue. And so I can be able to live, and Jessica and I can live in Europe 3 months out of the year, and then come back and do these workshops and do these other things that are going to support the life that we want. And so how do we do that? Then we got to build that down. And so from looking at where I want to go, what does that look like? Well, I want to be there in 5 years. So there's my 5-year goal, break it down in 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 6 months. What can I do right now?
Today.
Yeah. And so those are things that I'm working on in that aspect of reaching out, connecting with people, starting to connecting with businesses, and offering this corporate well-being program that we're going to be delivering, not just the CoreFit, the fitness side of it, right? But what we do with Heroic and partnering with Heroic and utilizing the app and sharing these workshops and helping individuals really show up as the best version of themselves. And if we have that in any business, people constantly showing up, working on themselves, what kind of business are you going to have? You're going to have a thriving business. Everybody's on the same page. Nobody's going to take things personally. When we have challenges and we want change, when change is constant, and we know in the business world, when we bring up change, it's a big process, right? Everybody gets frustrated. But knowing that change is just a part of it. And then can we accept it, saying, hey, what's in my control? I'm going to focus on what's in my control. I'm going to let go what's not in my control, and I'm going to show up as that best version of myself to help this organization thrive and be this individual. Like, one of the things that I've talked about is when we apply for a position, You're not the only person that applied for that position. So whatever you did to earn that position that they hired you, you definitely delivered yourself in a way that, hey, I'm capable. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do these things. And then what happens 6 months, 9 months, maybe 1 year, we kind of lose that fire. And then we start blaming the organization. Oh, this company sucks and all this other stuff. I like just to really work on with these workshops and working with Heroic, working on the mindset, work on the physical ability. That my goal through these workshops and this well-being program is that every individual gets to say, I get to go to work today. Gratitude every time, that this is what I signed up for. I know there's going to be pain. I know there's going to be uncertainty. I know there's going to be hard work. That's a little acronym for POOH, P-U-H, right? Pain, uncertainty, and hard work. But yet, that's what I signed up for.
That's right.
There is no easy button.
No easy button. So what are you going to do today? Today, what's one thing you can do by the end of today that's going to be getting you closer to that one thing? What's your one thing today? What's that one thing out there, that target, right? Do you have agency? Do you know that to get to your target in your big one thing, it might take infinite amount of pathways? And are you clear on your target, your one thing? And we definitely, the closer you get, the more you're taking the steps to get there, the compounding impact that you have. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right thing at the right time with the right energy. And that might look different each day.
Yeah.
But you have your one thing and you have so many pathways to get there. And there's no one perfect pathway. So keep going and make sure you know what your next steps are going to be and what you're going to do today to get you there.
Yeah. So in the book, the one thing, the 3 commitments that are outlined in here to really achieve extraordinary results. I'm going to bring it back to that first question. The quote that we started with is, what's that one thing that you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? So if we think about that, always return to your identifying your one thing. Make sure we know what that one thing is. Mm-hmm. Then live with purpose, right? Stay aligned with your core values and your objectives. And then be accountable or holding yourself capable. Engage with others to share goals and progress, right? And that's one of the things that you can do. If you really want to help hold yourself capable, as we do when we work and make promises to other people, share those goals. Share those things that you want to accomplish with other individuals. And that will also help you be accountable. And this is what I'm doing with you as I'm sharing what I want to do with CoreFit and create this corporate well-being program. And it's called Life, L-Y-F, Live Your Fit Life. And so this is what I'm sharing with you guys today as in the future podcast that you're going to be hearing us talking about this and how it's going and the goal is that it will thrive. The other big part of this book is habits. Mm-hmm. We've talked about habits. You got many books out there, Atomic Habits, Tiny Habits, Superhuman by Habit. So get out there and focus on those. Again, you want to see what your future looks like. Look at your habits. What are you doing today? And if you don't like what your current situation is, then what habits do we need to change? And those are something that you get to do. Again, gratitude every single time. And so in conclusion, what is that one thing?
Think about it.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Write it down.
Make a plan.
Write those goals down. That's going to help you achieve those goals by 43% increase by simply writing it down. Take your life to the next level.
Good vibes only.
Peace. If you made it this far on the podcast, congratulations. And I want to say thank you for sticking with us and listening to this topic. But I want to leave you for some actionable steps that you can take immediately after listening to this podcast or once you get into your home if you are driving. I want you to think about writing down your answers to these focused questions. What is that one thing that you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? And then I'd like for you to schedule a time for that primary task that you just wrote down. So those are your actionable steps. Thank you.